Welcome to QC Coasters Episode 1, where talking about theme parks is objectively fun.
Ride the thrill, feel the heartbeat inside. QC Coasters, it's a roller coaster ride.
Yes, haunt season is upon us. IAAPA is just 1 month away, and we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to theme parks and roller coasters in the coming weeks. First, I want to introduce you to what I feel is going to make this channel different than all the others. See, there are a lot of coaster and theme park channels on the internet, a lot of good ones, but they all have one thing in common, and that's entirely subjective ride reviews. They do their best to tell you why they do or don't like each ride, show, or attraction, but really it just comes down to who's giving the review and what their preferences are, what their thrill tolerance is, what their physical build might be, or even some have dived into the moral and political views of rides. And their experience with each ride may differ drastically from yours. So how do we talk about theme parks and amusement rides in a way that is objective? By that I mean, are there certain things that a theme park ride or a roller coaster would make them more likely to be popular, and if they're popular, then most importantly, profitable for parks? And that's where my objectively fun ride review comes in. See, I've developed a standardized scoring system which ignores personal preferences and instead gives a numerical score to all of the things that I've observed makes a ride popular and profitable, or at least that all those rides have in common. So here's the QC Coasters Objectively Fun Ride Review and all the things I think go into a good amusement ride. So out of 100 possible points, it's broken into 4 different categories, all kind of based around story. Now, the story a ride tells matters, and I don't care if the ride has theming or not. A ride is a short story, and the best rides tell a complete story from beginning to end, and it starts before you ever get on the ride. It starts before you even get to the park in some instances, when you hear about the ride and when people talk about the ride. And so that's what plays into all these categories. So under setting, we're setting up the story here. We got familiar IP or theme, the logo and the advertising connected to that ride, the off-ride aesthetic, inviting entrance, and is it multi-generational? And then as the story gets going, we start with conflict. A good story has to start with conflict. So we'll talk about the storyline, the immersive queue, the boarding experience, the vehicle design, crew interactions, and ride initiation, and give a score to all of those. Now, setting has a possible score of 4 points for each of those different bullet points there. And under conflict, you can get up to 5 points for each of those bullet points. And in the future videos, I will go more in depth as to the questions that I ask behind each of these bullet points that helps these to, again, not be subjective, but give a more objective look at whether or not the ride succeeds in these areas. Climax. So after the conflict, we have to reach a crescendo in the story. And that crescendo is all of the things that go into an exciting ride. So speed, forces, themed environment, themed consistency, the surprise and delight factor of a ride, and the grand finale. And then again, that's 5 points for each of those. And then resolution, 4 points for each of these. Goal, celebration, onboarding experience, the exit environment, the desire to ride again, and the prestige of the ride. For those of you who have maybe played roller coaster games, you'll recognize that word as an important factor in those games. And I think it can be measured in real life instances too. So there's kind of the categories, but how do these look in relation to actual real rides? So let me lay out for you just a few rides and the scores that I gave them. And this is just a taste looking at the total scores. And later on, you'll see how I got to these as I do more videos to explain the process here. But the first ride I'll talk about is Batman the Ride. And this one specifically is the one in Gurnee, Illinois, Six Flags Great America. But I've ridden a lot of the clones. They're themed very similarly. The experiences are very similar. So it might vary just a few points from the 59 out of a possible 100 points, which is above average, I would say. With this system, an average ride is going to fall into the, well, okay. An average ride, meaning average scores, fall in the 40 to 50 range for most rides. So a 59 is actually above average, but it's still far from the upper echelon of rides, which if you've experienced a Batman ride, I hope you would agree with. But there's a reason why they made so many of them, and it's because 59 points is a solid score for a Six Flags park ride. Let's compare that to the Fallen King, King Ka. I'm so sad that it's gone. I only got one ride on this before they blew it up and tore it down. But King Ka, supposed to be the king of coasters, ran it through the Objectively Fun Ride Review and got a total of 56 points. Don't get mad at me. A lot of coaster enthusiasts out there are going to already be mad at me for scoring it less than Batman the Ride. But again, we're looking at objectively at what makes a ride fun for the majority of people, and therefore makes it successful and makes it profitable for companies. So, you know, what kind of rides should we be building versus what rides only match a niche level of people? And King Ka, still above average ride, great ride. But it didn't meet, you know, most people who went to the park. And finally, the third ride we'll look at is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And this is the one at Magic Kingdom that I'm talking about in Orlando, Florida, or Walt Disney World. And this one, when run through the scoring system, gets a score of 72 points. And so out of these three, I would say with this scoring system, or hopefully in coming videos, I'll be able to prove to you with this system that objectively Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is the better ride. That doesn't mean that you enjoy it more than the other two. It doesn't mean that it wins in all the categories over the other two. It just simply means there's a reason why Disney continues to pour money into refurbishing and keeping these rides going, and every now and then plussing these rides in order to add new interest to them, because Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is worth the extra effort put in order to keep it a way above average ride, a great ride. So, let me know down in the comments. Have I piqued your interest at all with this? Are you curious to know more about how this scoring system works and the questions I'm using behind it? I'd love to explore those in future videos. If nobody wants to hear them, then I guess I'll put them out there and it'll be just for my own fun and geekery. But this is something that's been stuck in my head for a long time. Why is it that so many people consider some rides world-class when they are nowhere near as exciting, in my opinion, as other rides? But I think we can show what makes a ride successful for the general audience, or for most people, and what makes it profitable. And that helps us to be able to look at and have discussions about which rides are good for parks and which rides why were they big misses when parks put them in. I'm especially excited to kind of run through these videos and teach you the system before IAPA, hoping that we get some ride announcements in the coming weeks, because this fall we've gotten some, but not nearly what we've gotten in the past ride-wise. And so I want new rides, and I want good rides, and I want rides that are going to help parks survive and thrive. And I think there are some parks out there that know the formula, and I'm just trying to crack the code. My name's John. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time.